Hey, I just wanted to quickly tell you a little background about what prompted this video. I have a really good friend whose little girl has to go through some surgery, and she's nervous and scared, and they're experiencing some hard times as a family. And it made me think about how maybe our relationship with food could be very different and how it would look during hard times. So I want to talk about that. We all go through hard times in life. Sometimes they're big, painful, and truly life-changing, and other times they're smaller and thankfully fleeting. And truthfully, none of us are exempt from experiencing pain or sorrow or stress or loneliness or boredom or anger and any of all of those emotions that we experience when facing difficulty. The good news is that having emotions is what keeps us alive. It's what keeps you alive. It allows you to be happy when the times are good, to appreciate those happy and joyful moments. And it also allows us to work through and hopefully come through the hard times stronger than we were before. Hey, I'm Elizabeth, and I'm here to help you become a woman of wellness by healing your relationship with food and loving your body. And today we're talking all about how to manage your relationship with food when you're in the midst of a hard time of life, just like my friend I talked about earlier. And before I go any further, I just wish I could reach my arms out to you through this screen and provide as much love and support as I can on this other side of the computer screen. I truly hope the things that I talk about today will help bring a little light to whatever is bringing you down today or for weeks or for months or however long it's been. So let's go back and talk about our emotions. We're going to talk today about why emotions are actually a good thing and how we use them for learning and growth instead of turning to food and struggling with our relationship with food during that time. There are all kinds of emotions. Some are big, some are small. Some are chronic and stick around for a while, and others come and go as quickly as you change your mind, or as quickly as my three-nager experiences them, which it seems like they're changing every minute these days. Nobody told me about three. The key to managing your emotions is truly not to ignore them or avoid them or make them go away, but instead to recognize them and to accept them. So let's do a little experiment. What emotion are you experiencing right now in your life? Call it out, name it, name your emotion. It maybe sounds a little bit silly, but a lot of times we use avoidance to deal with our emotions, which you've probably had experience. It quickly leads us to behaviors such as overeating. So the first step in dealing with your emotions without using food is first, recognize them. Second, name them for what they are. And third, accept them. Accept that it is okay to experience this emotion right now. Okay, so you've got your emotion. What in the world do you even do with it? I could come here and truthfully tell you all of the textbook answers that you've probably heard before, right? Go exercise, go on a walk, write in a journal, go see a counselor. These are all amazing things, and really you actually should do them. That's why we say they're good for you. But truly you already know that, right? And sometimes when I tell someone to go exercise because it might help them, it actually makes them a little bit more stressed because it's sometimes one more thing to add, and truly it doesn't sound all that fun, and honestly I just wasn't even the least bit helpful sometimes. So instead of going through the textbook answers, I want to go a little bit deeper today than those normal responses that you hear to dealing with emotions and stress, and share 3 ideas to implement when you're trying to keep a happy relationship with food despite going through so many different emotions, whether they be big and chronic and lasting or smaller and more fleeting. So step 1 is to slow life down. In fact, I'd probably rephrase that to say slow your brain down. It's important that you don't have an overfull schedule that prevents you from being able to be with, capital B-E, with, and actually deal with your emotions, because that's another form of distraction, right? But the physical changing of your schedule is really only one piece of that big puzzle. I want you to slow down mentally. Where can you give yourself grace in here, in your brain? Remind yourself that you don't have to be everything to everyone. can you slow down your thoughts? Slow down the need to have it all together like we as women feel like we need to, or at least slow down the need to desire to pull it all together in your head and have it all figured out up there. When life gets hard, we tend to want to look for solutions immediately, which is a really good thing. It's our problem solving. But the truth is, healing takes time. Get in your head, slow it down, and listen for the emotions that you are experiencing. Instead of trying to solve them, slow it down and acknowledge them. Accept that they're there. There will be time for solutions and change later, but for now, just slow it completely down. The second is to say no more often. It's okay to not be able to do it all right now. If you can't do it, take it off your plate. And honestly, I'm guessing that most people will understand. But I want to go deeper than just saying no to other people. What can you say no more often to yourself? We have so many expectations of our own selves that live inside our brains, especially as women, and sometimes they come out at other times. They're only thoughts that belong to us. I recently had a baby. If you've been around here, you know that. And although it has been a very big time of joy, which I recognize and appreciated as one of my own emotions, for many months it was also a time of extreme exhaustion. I had bouts of anger and bouts of sadness, and if you've had a baby, I know you probably know exactly what I'm talking about. My brain truly never stopped as I was trying to figure out how to solve literally every problem in my life. My baby never stopped crying. It was hard. What could I do to get her to stop crying? That was a problem-solving moment. My house was always a mess. How could I get the perfect cleaning schedule, the routine, so it would actually stay clean longer than 20 minutes? And on top of that, my toddler needs to learn his numbers and his letters and his ABCs and how to clean up after himself and blah, 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 blah. You know, all that stuff that moms are supposed to teach their kids. My spouse and I felt like ships in the night, passing each other responsibilities and literally just trying to survive. But for some reason in that time, my brain, all this up here, felt like I had to pull it all together. As a mother, as a woman, whatever. So luckily I got smart and realized doing this would get me nowhere. So I stopped. I took a minute, I stopped, and I said no to all of the expectations that my brain was concocting. My baby grew and continues to grow, and each day I am able to take on a little bit more, and I am perfectly happy with that now. Sometimes in the moment it's really hard to see, but try to dig into your head and say no to all of those expectations that you have for yourself and that others have for you. Saying no is a form of self-care. Did you know that? And it's 100% acceptable to listen to your own needs no matter what anyone else tells you. Another great way to say no is to recognize when those emotions drive you to turn to food. So instead of going right for the food, you now have that ability to recognize and name the emotion. Stop once you recognize it and just say no to the food. It kind of sounds a little bit silly, I know, but telling no out loud to your food reminds you that the food has no control over you. Tell it no. You'll find a way to deal with your feelings, but today, it's not food. I don't need that today. And our last tip is to feel the feelings. Now that you've freed up your physical and your emotional space, I want you to spend some time feeling your feelings. Allow yourself to grieve in the way that you need to grieve. Allow yourself to experience anger if that's what's going on. Feel your pain, and then create your own coping mechanism. Allow yourself to experience and feel your emotion. Gives you information on what you need to do with it eventually or now. And as you feel the emotion, you'll then be able to ask yourself what you need and are more likely to come up with a much better solution than if I'm the one over here telling you to just go for a walk or find a punching bag or whatever else they say that you should do to blow off a little steam. Sometimes you just really need to allow yourself to literally sit and watch TV mindlessly for a while if your stress feels like it's completely out of control. Or maybe you need to just go outside and yell. I tell my kids they can go outside and yell if they need it. You know what I do when I feel like I'm a disaster? I hop in my car, I turn up my music really loud, and I drive for 20 minutes. I go and I drive, and it helps me release those pent-up emotions, and I come back feeling refreshed. So now I want to know, tell me, what is your favorite coping mechanism? Share with us in the comments. Let's get some ideas for each other. Thanks for being here today, and I will see you next time.